So this is another sequence data type. Let me write it down, tuple, for you so you know how it spells. Tuple, tuple, right? Let's change this to markdown cell so this way you can see. Okay, so what exactly is a tuple? Tuple basically, there are a few characteristics. They are ordered, okay? They're ordered collection and they are immutable. They are immutable. And I'll tell you in a minute what it means. But basically, what immutability means is that they cannot be changed. So once you create a tuple, you cannot change the, the elements of that, okay? You can create a new tuple with new elements in it, but you cannot take the same tuple and modify its element. It will not allow you to do that. They can contain duplicates, okay? Can contain duplicate elements, all right? Okay, what else? Uh, they are heterogeneous, okay? Heterogeneous. That's a mouthful for some of you who do not know what heterogeneous means. It basically means that it can contain elements, oops, of different types, of different types. So for example, you can have integer, you can have string, you can have boolean, you can have all these, elements in it. So let me just start with some examples that will help you understand. So how do you declare a tuple? Okay, declaration, declaration. Okay, the way you declare a tuple is, let's say I create my tuple, I'm calling my variable as TPL, and the way you declare it is you use these curly braces. Sorry, not curly, but these moon braces. Okay, so I'm going to be just so you can understand from now here on onward, I'll be using these braces for tuple, and I'll be calling them either moon braces or I'll call them tuple braces. So maybe let's agree that we're going to call them as tuple braces. Okay, so I'm gonna you create these you create tuple using these tuple braces, and let's populate it with some elements. Okay, so let's put our simple 2, 5, 6. All right, and then print it out. How do you print something? Just use simple regular old or plain old command print statement. All right, so there you go. It prints TPL. So far so good. Okay, let's create another tuple. This time we're gonna create a couple of strings. All right. So let's say the first string is, let's say, Bobby. Okay. And next, say there's a guy named Obelisk. All right. And let's say there's another guy named Tintin. All right. So we created these tuples of three string elements. All right. And let's print it out. TPL, and it's going to print that elements. How do I know? Excuse me. Excuse me. How do I know that this is a tuple? Well, if you remember, you can also print type. There's a command called type. You can just say type and say TPL, and that's going to give you the type of that variable. What that variable is of type. You see, it's a class tuple. So this print right here prints this statement. Likewise, if you print this again over here, it's going to show you this particular TPL is a tuple. Let's run it. There you go. It's a class tuple. Okay, so this is one way to create a tuple. All right. There's another way. You can actually create a tuple like this: TPL equal to, let's say, Bobby, comma, let's say Nancy. All right, comma, and let's say Rahim. All right. So this is a way to create it. This is another way to create a tuple. And print. Let's just copy and paste so this way I don't have to keep typing those commands. All right. Print, run this, and there you go, Bobby, Nancy, Rahim, and it's a class tuple. Okay. Now, if you notice, anytime when you print a tuple, you're gonna see this bracket over here. Okay. So this is the bracket that's basically telling you that it's printing a tuple. And also you can look at the type, prints you the type. So this is another way to create a tuple. Okay, style number two. You can also create a tuple from a list. Now, if you recall, remember list had a function called list, so there is a similar function here called tuple. So you say TPL, you type TPL and you say TUPLE. So this is an inbuilt function, and here you provide your elements. Okay, so I'm just gonna do copy and paste, so this way I don't have to keep typing these names. Make my life a little easier, thanks to the creators of copy and paste. Okay, print TPL. Oh, again, let's do copy and paste again. Thank you, copy and creators of copy and paste, or whoever came up with that concept. Okay, okay, so there you go. It actually created a tuple, and this time what I did, I used this keyword called tuple, and this is a function. This function actually accepts an argument, okay? And the argument that it accepts is a sequence. So in this case, the sequence I'm giving is a list. So it's taking a list and it's creating tuple out of that list. So it's converting a list into a tuple. So basically, this is a nice little trick. In case if you're given a list, you can convert a tuple into a list. Okay. You can also create tuple. You can also create tuple with just one element. Okay. So tuple equal to, let's call it, let's say apple. All right. Now here's the thing. When you create a tuple with just one element, you have to put a comma over here. All right. If you do not put a comma, it's not gonna create that tuple for you. This is important. So let's say I remove this comma. Okay. Copy and paste again. I copy and paste again. Okay. Now if I run this, you see, it's saying it's an apple. All right. Print tuple, printed an apple. And now it's saying it's a class str. Although I'm using this tuple bracket over here, but I did not specify that comma. So in tuple, this is important that you have to specify a comma if you're creating a one element tuple using this notation. If you're not, it's going to create a class, it's going to create a string variable for you. So how do you solve this problem? Just put a little comma over here. That's all you have to do. Comma, run this, and there you go. It created a class tuple. So now it's a tuple. And also look how exactly it's printing like this. So this is something you guys should be aware of. This is a so I never really used a one element tuple that much, but I think I do remember creating something and I was working with this thing, so I came across this issue and I was forgetting to put this comma. So it took me like good, I don't know how long, maybe 30, 40 minutes before I figured out my mistake. It was basically missing this comma. Okay, so this is the way to create tuple. Now, let me see, what's the other one? What Ah, okay. Let's see. Next topic. Let's say you have, remember I was telling you like you can create tuples of a string, of an integer, and so on and so forth. And then I also told you that you can have a mixed type tuples. So let's say you have a tuple. Okay, tuple equal to, oops, tuple equal to um, 1, 4, 7. All right. All right. So far so good. No surprises here. And copy and paste. Right. Run this. Good. What if you want to change? Okay, everything in here is basically integer. What if you want to change into a float? Can you do that? Okay, so you have integer value, integer value, integer value. Now you have float value. Okay, let's see. Oh, yes, you can. It allows you to do that. That's great. What if you put a string? Okay, let's say that let's put a string. Let's call it cucumber. All right. Let's see. And sure enough, it does. It does. So it does give you the ability to actually create a tuple of elements that can be of different types. And this is why, this is where the word, oh, excuse me, this is what this word heterogeneous means. Okay, heterogeneous. All right. Oh, my power is going down. Let me see. 19%. All right, I should be good. Okay, so that's what heterogeneous means. Basically, you can have couple of different elements. Okay, and you can also put couple of tuple, okay, or tuple of list. Okay, so let's say I go over here and I create another list 3 comma 5 comma 7. All right, so in this case my tuple contains an integer integer float value, a string, and a list. Let's see if it does that. And the answer is yes, it does. Can I create a tuple inside a tuple? Well, I don't know. Let's figure out. Okay, let's put 2 comma, and let's put inside a tuple I create a tuple, and inside the tuple I'm putting one integer and one string. See, and it does. All right, good. So now you know a tuple. What exactly do you mean by heterogeneous? Basically, it means is that you can put different types of elements inside, different types of data type elements inside your tuple. Okay, uh, so got this declaration. Now, can you access the elements? How do you access tuple elements? Okay, access. Okay, so let's talk about accessing. Well, let's create tuple. Tuple equal to, actually, let's use this tuple right here. Okay, let's use this tuple. Okay, so let's say you want to access your one of the element. Now, if you remember, like if you guys have taken the course on list, uh, the way you actually access the elements of a list, you use these indexing systems. So same principle applies over here. So basically, your index starts with 0. This is your 0th index. This is your index number 1, index number 2, index number 3, 4, 5, and index number 6. Okay, so if you want to print, let's say, the index 1, so this is how you do it. You use the square bracket. Okay, you print this thing out, that's going to print your index 1, okay, which is this number 1. Let me change this to, let's say, 5. I'll make it 8. Okay, so if you run this thing, it's going to print 8 for you. What if you want to print index number, uh, let's make it uh, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's print it 4. Okay, what do you think it's going to print? Well, let's figure out. Cucumber. What if you want to print 5? All right, and there you go, 3, 5, 7. So this way you can access these individual elements of a tuple. Uh, what if you want to print? Okay, what if you want to print the tuple elements starting from 2 all the way at the end? Okay, so starting with index 0, index 2, all the way at the end. Does it do that? Let's see. Yes, it does. So see, 7, 2.37 actually is right here. And the reason it starts with 7 is because this is your index 0, this is index 1, and this is index 2. So it prints from index 2 all the way up the end. Okay, what if you want to print this particular element? What would this index be? This would be print, let's see, TPL, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this will be 5. All right, 5, and it prints 357. All right, 357. Great. What if you want to print this 5 right here? And this 5 basically is inside of a list. Well, if you recall, how do we access the elements of a list? Same principle. You have your tuple 5, okay, which is basically your 357. And inside 357, this would be index 0, right? This is your index 0, and this is index 2. So you're going to say, sorry, index 0 and index 1. You're going to say index 1, and that's going to print your element 5 for this list. And if you run this, you see it printed 5. If you type 0 over here, it's going to print 3. This 3 right here, okay, this 3. So play around with this thing, create some list, and understand what's happening, and you'll get an idea. So this is how you can access individual elements of tuple. Likewise, you can actually go from, let's say, element 2 to element 4. All right, so let's just copy over here, paste over here, remove this. Let's run this, and you see It's going to print 7, which is right here, and all the way up to fourth and index 4, which is right there. But remember, as I said before, it's not going to print the last index. So 4, it does not print, it just prints 1 before the 4. It's going to print 7 and 2.3, 7 and 2.3. You can actually change this number to, let's say, 6. So it's going to print index IDX2, index 3, index 4, and index 5, but it's not going to print index 6. Let's run this code, and there you go. Now, somebody just asked me a while back, what if I change this index? Let's say I put out of range, okay? Let's say I put 99, okay? Well, 99 does not exist. So what do you think will happen? And if some of you think it will print, well, it did print it. It actually printed. If it does not exist after that, what it means is that it's going to print all the way up to end, and if the index goes out of range, it's not going to throw an error. Okay, it's going to print that. So just be mindful of these little things. Some of the some of these sequences they'll throw an error. So let's see if list throws an error. Let's try to see that. LST, okay, equals. Let's just use this one. Let's say this is your LST. And so by the way, this is the way I learned. I would actually experiment, and by experimenting, you learn a few things, and it kind of clears your concept. So sometimes even I don't know everything. So what I do, I just experiment with things, and I say, okay, interesting. So this is how it works. And okay, so let's say you want to access an element out of the range, okay, in a list. Actually, let's do the same thing for tuple first, and let's see if it does that. For tuple, let's say you want to access an element that's not present in there, okay? You want to access element 50th, okay? Can you access that? Let's see if it throws an error. And yes, it does. Tuple index is out of range, so it does throw an error. So you cannot access this element, okay? This is an error, okay? Out of index, okay? Now let's go back over here and let's see if in our list, can we access numbers, okay, that are, or can we actually print from index 2 to index 99, and although index 99 does not exist. Let's see what list does. And list also does that. All right, good to know. Okay, let me remove this. I was just experimenting, got drifted away for a minute. Okay, moving to the next cell. So there's something called concatenation. Okay, so this is a similar concept from your list. So let's say you have fruits, okay, fruits equal to, and let's create some fruits. Let's create a bucket. Let's create a couple of fruits. Let's call it banana, okay. Then let's say peaches, okay, and guava. All right, and let's have another fruit, okay, new fruits, new fruits. Oops. Let's say new fruits is equal to another tuple. Let's say let's say bananas, peaches, guava. I'm forgetting my fruits. Mangoes. All right, and let's put one more. Let's put banana, peaches, goose, and what do you call lychees? Yes, lychees. Thank you, lychees. Okay, I want another tuple. Okay, that should, if I say fruits plus, I want to concatenate these tuples. Now, if you remember, how do we concatenate in list? We actually use plus operator. So we're going to do the same thing. New fruits. Okay, so let's see if that works. All right. So basically what I'm doing, I'm taking these fruits, okay, and I'm attempting, because I do not know if it's going to work. I'm concatenating using a plus operator with new fruits, which is this right here. Okay, so let's see if it works. And lo and behold, it works. Bananas, peaches, guava, mango, lychees. So it's going to take the first tuple, which is right there, banana, peaches, guava, and it's going to concatenate with this one. What if you change the order of this? Okay, what if you put the new fruit over here and fruits over here? Let's see what it does. Okay, now if you guess, some of you, if some of you guess that it's gonna print new fruit first and then fruits later on, you would be right. Let's see. Yes, it did. So see, new fruits came first, and then fruits came next. All right. So somebody had asked me in the past, what if you take a list and a tuple? Can you concatenate a list and a tuple? Let's see. Okay, let's experiment. So let's say, let's make this into a list. And how do you make an element? How do you make a list? You put these square brackets. Okay. All right. And then you take new fruits, which is, uh, let's put fruits to new fruits. And let's see if it gives us the error. And the answer is yes. You see, it tells you can only concatenate, not list to a tuple. So it's telling you that when you're using this plus operator, okay, which is used for concatenating in this particular instance, which is used for concatenating, you can only concatenate a tuple with a tuple, but you cannot concatenate a list with a tuple. So that's what the error is. Okay, so we got that. Now, what about multiplication? Now, if you remember, let's say you have a tuple. Okay, let's start with the same tuple, banana, peaches. Okay, okay, let's say you have the tuple and you want to create more. Let's say you want to have tuple equal fruits, okay, times 3. All right. Oops. And what is it going to do? Let's find out. Okay. So run this, and there you go. Banana, peaches, guavas, banana, peaches, guava, banana, peaches, guava. So basically what it did, it just took this elements and it printed, actually created a new tuple, TPL, and it populated that particular tuple with these 3 elements 3 different times, okay, in this order, by the way. So that's what it did. So this operator, multiplication operator, is in this case is overloaded. This is called overloading. Okay, so I want to talk about more about this operator overloading in my object-oriented programming class in the future. So we can also check for existence, like if an element is present inside a tuple. Okay, so let's look at this tuple again. Okay, you can check for existence, and the way you do is you say, let's say, bool expression equal to, you check whether this element is present. So how do you do this thing? You say banana in fruits. Okay, and then you print out this expression, banana. Sorry, print out bool expression. All right, and let's see what it does. And it's true. So this banana isn't present in fruits. That's why it's printing out true. What if you put banana? Okay, banana. And it should print false. Okay, because the banana does not exist. Banana exists. Okay, so this way you can actually check if there's a certain element present inside a fruit. So it tells you that, hey, this banana is present inside fruit. It returns a Boolean expression. You can also actually find an index of an element. Okay, so let's say you're trying to determine, uh, let's start with the same one, and you're trying to find out, and let's put another fruit over here. Let's put, oops, let's put mango. All right, mango. Okay, so let's say you are trying to access the the second element. Okay, or let's say you're trying to find the index of an element, and let's say the index of the element idx, okay, equal to, the way you do this thing is you say fruits dot. So there is a method. Okay, it basically has a method that's called index, and you just type the element in there. So in this case, let's say guava. So what this is going to do, it's going to go through this fruit tuple, and it's going to try to find where guava is. Okay, guava is over here, which is index 0, 1, and 2. It's index 2. So it's going to enter, it's going to create, it's going to return the value 2, and the IDX value would be 2. So if I print my IDX, Oops. If I print my IDX, the answer is 2. And there you go, IDX is 2. What if I say go out, okay, which does not exist? What's it going to print? Let's see. Ah, X is not a tuple. Okay, so it's saying go out does not exist. So it's not a tuple. All right. So this is one of the nice little handy tricks. You can actually find the index of an element. Okay, as long as you know the element. Okay, you can also do other things like you can find the length of a tuple. So that's an easy. Okay, moving on to okay, immutability. This is something I want to explain you. What's an immutability? Immutability. Immutable. Actually, let's just go with immutable. So let's say you have a tuple of planets. Okay, and planets is basically, let's say you have Jupiter. Okay, you have, let's say, Mars, and let's say you have another one more. Just add one more. Earth. Oops. Earth. Okay, so you have this planets. Okay, and you want to change one of the elements. Let's say you want to change Earth. Okay, you want to change Earth to, let's say, Mercury. So how do you access that element, by the way? You access it by saying planet, by typing planets, and the index would be 0, 1, 2, would be 2 in this case, and then you say equal to, let's change that to Mercury. Mercury. Okay, and then let's print it out. Okay, print planets. All right, let's see if it works. It did not. You see, it didn't. Tuple does not allow you to change an element. You see, tuple object does not support item assignment, meaning you cannot go inside a tuple and change a certain item in there. But list does that to you. If you remember, list will allow you to do that. So let me just show you how list does that. Let me just comment this thing out. Actually, let me just copy this first. Okay, and comment this out. Let's go on top. Okay, now list will allow you to do that. Now, how do you create a list? Remember the square bracket. We're going to use a square bracket that creates a list. All right, and then I'm just gonna, actually I should have copied the whole thing. Okay, and you see, so I'm creating a list over here. All right, using this square bracket, and in my planets, I'm actually changing Mercury. Okay, planets 2, which is Earth. So I'm changing that into Mercury, and list will allow you to do that. You see, Jupiter, Mars, Mercury. Now it's Mercury. This Earth has been replaced by Mercury. Okay, but tuple does not allow you to do that. So if I uncomment this code out now, okay, and you see, I'm using this tuple notation over here, tuple notation. And if I create a tuple using this, and then I try to change this to Mercury, it's not going to do that. Earth would not get changed into Mercury because of tuple, thanks to the tuple. All right, so there is this. Then what else is there? Let's see. Okay. Uh, but there's something we can do with tuple. It does not allow you to change the element of a tuple. But what you can do, it does allow you to change an element of, of a tuple if that element in itself is a sequence. Okay. So let me explain you what it means. This is important. If if one of the item is, if let's say if one of the items in tuple is mutable, meaning it can be changed, all right, for example, list and all, then we can change, that element, okay, that element. So let me just give you an example. Let's say your tuple is equal to 1, 3, 6, and let's create a list. 5, 7, 2, okay, comma 9, right? print TPL. All right, so you print TPL. Now you print this thing and it's going to print this. So what if you want to change? Now remember, this is your integer, integer, integer. This is a list, and we know list can be changed. It's mutable. So can I change a list that is present inside a tuple? Well, I don't know. Let's find out. Print. So how do you access this list? You're going to say TPL, all right? And this would be 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this would be 3. All right, let's print this thing out. All right, so I access that element. Now I want to change the 7. Okay, so how do I change this? I'm going to say TPL 3, which is in that list, and the element 7, I mean, it's not element 7, sorry, element 7, at what index is it is present on? It's present in index and inside index 2, sorry, index 1. So index 1 equal to, let's make it 99. And let's see if it allows you to do that. Oh, it does. All right, so see, it did not give me an error. Let's print this tuple out now. Interesting. I learned something from you. I learned something by teaching you guys something. All right. So see, 136,599, 2. Okay. So you see this 7, which is right there. To access this element was in the index 3 of your tuple. And inside the index 3 was a list. And inside this list, the index 1, which is right here, index 1, so I wrote 1 over here. I changed that value to 99. And it did change that to 99. Okay, so 7 has turned into 99. Okay, uh, but also gives you some other kind of cool little tricks. For example, you can do count. You can actually count how many elements, how many types of an element are present. So, for example, let me pick up some example, something that I don't have to keep typing it again and again. Oh, well, looks like I have to type. I can just use this. So let's say I create a tuple, TPL equal to this, and all right. So in this case, I have 1, 3, 6, 5, 9. Let's make this thing as 3. Let's make this thing as right there 5. And let's make this thing as 5 again, 9, 0, and 5. Okay, I want to count how many of the 5s are there. Okay, so count 5 equal, I'm going to say TPL dot. So there is a method called count. Okay, count, and I'm going to say 5 inside. Okay, and what it's going to do, it's going to count all the, it's going to go inside this tuple and it's going to give me a count of this element 5. And how many elements are present? How many elements are present that are 5? There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. So the answer should be 4. So let's see, let's verify that. Print count 5. And if you print this thing, the answer is 4. All right, good. So see, it actually gives you the count of how many elements are present inside that tuple. Uh, you can also actually find some minimum and maximum of a tuple. Okay, so this is another handy tool. The same tuple. Let's use the same tuple. Okay, you can say print. If you want to find the minimum, you just use minimum, TPL. All right, and run this. That's going to give you the minimum. In this case, 0 is the minimum. If you look over here, 0 is sure enough, it's minimum. What about maximum? Let's do that. All right, maximum tuple. The answer is 9, and sure enough, 9 is the maximum. You can also actually have the sum. There's a function called sum. Let's see, I know list has it. Let's see if the tuple allows you to give sum, and it should actually. Oh yeah, sum. So you see what sum does, basically adds 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7. It's going to add all these numbers together and give you the answer. So that's sum. What about length? Can you find the length of a tuple? Well, let's see. Print, because these are very handy tools. These functions like minimum, maximum, sum, length, these are very common operations done. Okay, so don't be surprised if they I mean if they don't have it. I mean they most of the time these sequences in Python you will come across these min, max, sum, and length a lot. Okay, so it gives you 11. And just like I think if you remember, if you took my class and list, you must have noticed like they also have the similar functionality, min, max, and left. Okay, so this concludes our session on tuple. Thank you.